Okay, there we go. So it gives like it's doing like a little countdown.
Oh, okay.
For Facebook, it does that. I don't know why. It's like it gives you time and then it goes back. Okay. But only I can see it. There we go. Good evening, folks. Welcome to another edition of Women and Racism. Tonight, I have 4 beautiful ladies with me, gracing the stage, all Black influencers. We all doing things out here, folks. So before I get too far ahead, let me stop and tell you who I am, just in case you don't know. I'm Lakeisha Mosley. I am the owner and event producer of the LM Experience. I have a blog named after myself, and I have a podcast called The Combo with Keisha. So let me introduce to you some of my biggest fans right here on this stage tonight. I start with Vernetta. Vernetta is my mentor, y'all. Like when I started this blogging thing, I was about to quit, but she helped the sister out. So I am so happy to have her here. Vernetta is a millennial Black Christian blogger. She has a podcast called A Toast to Truth, and honey, she be dropping them on there too. As well as she's an award-winning event producer herself. I have my soror on here, Miss Crystal Logan. Crystal wears many hats. Everybody on this stage tonight wears many hats. Crystal is a mompreneur, a speaker, a brand ambassador. She is also an owner of her own event planning business called El Marie Events. She does tons of stuff with mompreneurs, and we often just hook up and do stuff. I got my other soror on here, Miss Milan Mobley. Milan is like publicist / business strategist extraordinaire. My girl has her own strategic communications and public relations company. It's called U Management, and we're celebrating 5 years soon, right?
Yes, next month.
Yes, will be 5 years. She's worked with tons of brands. She has a lot going on. She also has a brunch called Entrepreneurs Brunch that she created. That's 5 too, right, sis?
It is 5.
Yes, that's 5 too. So definitely excited to have her here. Last but certainly not least, my other soror, Candace Spears. Candace is a mom, a marketer, strategic business strategist. Like she's the bomb, y'all. She's the owner of 423. She has a real estate company as well. And her hubby just started a business too, right?
Yeah, well, that's his own thing. Let me give him his own.
Like that.
That's he'd be mad, like that's mine. That's yeah.
Don't do them like that. So welcome, ladies. I'm so excited to have y'all here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk all things branding, brands tonight, brands. So Milan, I'll start with you.
I knew it was coming.
Tell the audience, what is a brand influencer?
A brand influencer. It's 2 different things. Let's get this straight first. You have a brand influencer and you have a brand enthusiast, right? So a brand enthusiast can wear many hats, right? And they have a specific area that they focus in. So like if you're a brand enthusiast, you can be a brand enthusiast for health. You can be a brand enthusiast for fashion or whatever the case is, right? A brand influencer is a person who takes on all type of brands. It's not any type of, specification behind it. And when they say influencer, nowadays, I think that we are misutilizing the term for so many reasons. And I think we've seen that very prominently in these last couple of weeks, how that term has been utilized in the wrong way, right? So brand influencers now, they're out here and they're showcasing Flat Tummy Tea and Fashion Nova and just all those things that you can think about, right? A brand influencer is a person who uses their influence and their brand to make change and impact and add value. So you heard what I said, a brand enthusiast is a person who actually has a focus on showcasing and promoting brands. The influencer uses their brand like us ladies right here, and uses it for the better benefit. That's the brand influencer. So when you see brand influencer, and they got the Fashion Novas and the Flat Tummy Teas, and they try to partner with all these brands, absolutely not even ideal. That's a brand enthusiast or a brand ambassador.
Right.
3 different things.
Lay it out. Lay it out.
I like that. I like that. I totally like that. Crystal,
sorry,
chime in on that.
What you say?
I say chime in on that. What's your take on it?
Yeah, they are definitely not the same. A lot of people do mix the two, and we see it, and we can try to enlighten and educate, but it's kind of like, oh no, this is what they have. You go out there and you look at the brand ambassador hashtags, or you look at brand influencer hashtag, you'll see everything Milan just said. Fashion Nova, water bottles. I mean, everything. And I'm just like, okay, all right, it takes a platform or a time like this for us to kind of be able to educate so that we can know the correct terms, so that we can properly, place ourselves to actually progress in those areas. So I totally agree. Milan said it all.
Yeah. She put it out there. So, Vernetta, I'm going to give this question to you. Does racism exist in the influencer market?
Yes, overwhelmingly. And it goes to how influencers are paid.
Right.
And I'll give a story. I'm not going to give the blogger's name, but this was a Black blogger. This was maybe 6 years ago. Only Black blogger invited to a conference. She had to pay her way, pay her ticket, pay everything. When everything was said and done, she had the largest follower count, the most engaged followers. She had the most brand work that actually allowed her to work with them, long periods of time. But all the other bloggers there got everything comped, their flights, their hotels, everything. And they couldn't even answer basic questions when it came to blogging.
That's sad.
So this was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It hasn't gotten much better. I'm still seeing a lot of bloggers saying they're getting inundated now with brand pitches. Cool. But it's all free. Free product, free service, very little money, if even asked.
Right.
Right.
Right. That's true. Candace, weigh in on that. Racism, influencer market.
So I haven't, from a brand perspective, I haven't experienced it yet. Now, I don't work with a lot of brands right now. That's not a big percentage of what I do. But you think about it from the podcasting just world, right? And that influencer world, when you got thousands and thousands of people listening, it's funny when you talk about what you do, or I have a podcast. Sometimes people are, because of the color of your skin or whatever, want to sort of typecast what that podcast might be about, or what you may expect going into it. But Vernetta, what you just talked about, like, I can only imagine. So I haven't experienced it, but I can only imagine, especially given you talk about something like blogging, where people may not necessarily see you, but the numbers add up, right? You got visits to your site, all this other stuff. So easy to take for granted, like the value you provide and the audiences that are attached, just because of when you see me in person versus seeing on the site.
That's true. That's true. I know that I've noticed it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vanessa.
Can I do a follow-up to Candace real quick? Because I've actually experienced it with podcasting. I've had no problem getting money. In fact, they've come to me and asked could they actually advertise on the podcast. So to me, that was a little shocking, because you do hear things in podcasting that it's very hard to get advertising, that most people don't understand what it is. Mainly the people who get it are the ones who have like millions of downloads. I've had more success working with people on my podcast than my blog.
That's interesting.
Wow.
That's really interesting to me. And I say that because, it's easier with a blog to show some of the stats, right, than it is with the podcast. So that's very interesting, and that should be reassuring.
Well, I flipped it with the podcast, because podcasts we're not going to take down. We're not going to take down to edit or anything like that, because why would we waste that? We already have to edit to begin with. A blog, you can easily take down and, remove that brand or whatever. So with them, when they understood the longevity, when it came to podcasting, it made it so much easier to sell. And then sometimes they're like, well, we'll only do X amount. After maybe the first 2 episodes they did, I'll come back and like, just want to finish the season. It'll just make it easier. And they're like, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What about you, Milan? You've experienced that with your podcast?
I haven't. Okay, no, let me tell you a funny story, actually. So I haven't directly with your bossiest friend, but I was on a podcast prior to having my own podcast with a co-host, and it was Black Girl Podcast, right? So our podcast got shut down a couple of times because of Sophia Amoroso, her thing, Girl Boss. And they kept saying we were trying to plagiarize it, taking her idea. But keep in mind, ours is Black Girl Boss. And hers is Girl Boss.
Wow.
So right then and there, we felt some type of way because it blatantly says Black in front of it. It doesn't say Girl Boss, it's Black Girl Boss. But you want us to take it down because Girl Boss was in it. That wasn't the problem. And it wasn't the problem.
Right.
And, the podcast name is completely different because we went 2 different ways. However, we were peaking 10,000 listeners within our first couple of months. So we were growing so fast. And it was just like, you want to take it down? Why? Like, why was there a problem? So I guess, subliminally, yes, we dealt with that because you can actually direct it towards that, considering we know Sophia Amoroso is a white woman.
Right.
Our podcast was clearly Black owned, and it clearly said that. So, I mean, we can take it that way and say that, but I haven't dealt with it like directly with the podcast.
Right. Let's touch on this issue, Crystal. You and I did like our private little session. So when, everything happened with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, people's eyes open, they begin to see things now. We noticed some white influencers began to shut down. So Crystal and I kind of had a conversation about that. Crystal, what was your take on Marie Forleo and Russell Brunson and the group you told me about? What was your whole take when you first initially heard that?
So there's a Boss Moms group that we were in, and I didn't realize everything that was going on in the group until someone tagged me to the post. And there were some things that were said, basically, this isn't what this group is about. So, by the founder, and there were like, I know 8,000 moms, boss moms in the group. So, she didn't want to talk about it. She didn't want to discuss it, but she came back and retracted her statement. But it was like a war. It was a war in there. And I sat there and watched her followers go from 8,000 down to probably like 5. They even came back, and there was another group of moms, Black and white, who came together, and they actually created a new group that was inclusive and that we could have a space to talk about, what was going on and discuss it. But it was kind of like shut down. It's not happening. We don't want to see it. We don't want to talk about it, but it happens, and the only thing, and like I was telling Lakeisha, my thing was, now that it's coming to light and people are actually putting it out there and placing their experiences on different things that have happened with brands, with businesses, other businesses getting contracts and things like that. Now, all of a sudden, it's an issue, and we don't want to talk about it. No, we need to talk about it because it's happening. And just like she was saying, her podcast, Milan's podcast, was probably bringing in more people than the what was the name of it? Yeah, Sophia's was. But it's kind of like, we want to put it up there like, okay, yeah, they're doing this, and they're bringing in this, and they're bringing in that. When in all actuality, it's us, because we're some Black women are some badass women, So at the end of the day, that's just, it is what it is. That they don't want us to pretty much excel or see, and it really boils down to also them. Sometimes your ideas, you have to watch how you put your ideas out there, because that's another topic. They'll take one little idea and run with it. Mompreneur stuff. I saw something about mompreneurs, something. I'm like, come on now. That's not. I know I did my research on mompreneur stuff.
Right.
So, and with us, that's another teaching moment for us to pretty much be able to take what we know and follow the proper procedures to make sure that your business is handled, so that we won't have to go through all of that. So yeah, I've seen it. I've been sitting back, kind of watching, and like, you have those brands who don't want to say anything about it because so many people are coming to the forefront now, talking about, exactly what they've experienced as well. So,
right. Let's talk about that. How do you feel about the brands? And I'll start with you, Candace, that have not said absolutely one thing.
Sad. Like, I literally just look and shake my head. At the very least, you have to acknowledge what's going on. I mean, if you don't, it's like one of those things where you're in the middle of a crowded room and your pants are down. And you say nothing and you act like everything is okay. Like, you start to look stupid at some point, right? And almost guaranteed to start to see people falling away because of your silence, right? You know what they say about silence. You don't say anything, you're complicit in it. So I don't know. I know there's sort of two sides of the coin, right? Either it's people are upset because brands are saying too much and it doesn't feel authentic, or people feel like, oh, they didn't say anything. I feel like at the least, say something.
Right.
At the least.
Right. What about that authenticity, Vernetta? What do you think? Like, now you want to talk? Like, I've seen brands come out now that, that are saying things that we've never heard anything from. What do you think about that being authentic?
I think they need to go and study whoever runs Ben & Jerry's diversity and inclusion program, because I've been a fan of Ben & Jerry's for almost 15 plus years.
Yeah.
Because I know who they hire. I know they usually hire people no one else will. They're always giving back in the community, and they're always taking a stand on every issue, no matter if their stand is popular or not.
Right.
And so the work that it was also founded by like two hippies. So of course they're all about, love and peace and all of that. But a lot, I was getting emails from brands I didn't even remember I had ever had any type of communication. That's how long we had not had communication. And I'm just like, delete, unsubscribe, delete. But I don't even want to hear your statement, because why are you waiting until now when we're sitting here and your hand has to be forced? Why couldn't you just talk to people? People have asked to have conversations. I've been in this space full time since 2011, so I understand, and I've seen a lot of changes. And what I'm saying is they really should take a lesson from Ben & Jerry's. Ben & Jerry's has been unafraid to make a statement, and their sales has not suffered once.
Right.
Can I piggyback off what Vernetta just said for a second? So, like, even if, you decided that the time is now, in my opinion, as a brand, even if you decide it's now, whether you were forced or not forced, I think also, in addition to that, saying something is, what are you going to do? Like, how does this, so you've made the statement and the action is, like, people are not fools. Like, they're waiting for the rest of the statement, right?
Right. So
I think we need to have listening circles where they actually bring Black influencers or people in whatever space they're in. I'll take Marie Denis for, plus size fashion. She also has an MBA. She's done marketing for 10 plus years. Why wouldn't any of those fashion brands bring her in and other Black influencers and really understand the plus size community in a way that they wouldn't be able to connect, in a way that they wouldn't be able to understand the nuances? I've talked to brands about that all the time. Like, McDonald's would do so much better if they used the freaking phrase, do you have McDonald's money? Like, why has that not been? Baby,
because I remember pulling that one, didn't it?
Yes. We all heard it growing up. Oh, mom, can I have
Right.
McDonald's? You have McDonald's money? It's like
Right.
if you have people understand, you
I
connect
feel like I
with
said that
them
today.
so much better.
So Milan, I'm gonna put that to you because as a publicist and someone who handles people's media strategy, y'all, I love her Instagram post when she ties it in so well with how you did the Insecure. I just loved it. What would you suggest, without giving away too much, of what brands who haven't said that, like Renetta said, I subscribed to you 10 years ago. I ain't heard nothing from you. Not today. You in my inbox.
Right. So I'm not sure if you saw my Instagram post on Humanity's page, but Edelman Communications Agency, they actually did a whole article on that, and then they went down as far as looking at the polling survey, as far as like in this last month, in the last 30 days, this has been the highest range on public opinion that it's been in over like 30 years or something like that. Like public opinion is super strong right now. But they were also saying that brands now, they haven't spoken out prior to, like when it first started, they're risking now looking like they're jumping on a bandwagon, right? Because a lot of people are supporting brands that have spoken up, right? They're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna buy from them, I'm gonna buy from them, versus the brands that haven't said anything, they're on the fence, like, they haven't said nothing, so I'm still kind of buy, but then some people are like, no, I'm boycotting because why haven't you said anything, right? We know we're boycotting Starbucks, or we're boycotting Home Depot. You know, we have a list of brands that people have said blatantly they're not supporting, they don't support it, but then you have those that we talked about that haven't said anything. So when it comes down to it, like we've all just said, you have to have action behind that, right? Who's really about that action? So with my clients, for example, my client Jared, he's an author, a real estate agent, everything. It's not saying there's not really much for him to say because he's not a large brand, but it's about the action put forth. So instead of him speaking out and saying, hey, I'm a Black male, this affects me, let me speak on it, we're now doing interviews for him because he's a former collegiate athlete. He tries to get to the NFL. He's a quarterback, a former quarterback. If anyone knows about football, then you know quarterbacks are, yes, the highest paid, but then there's only 6 quarterbacks in the league that are Black.
Wow.
And 70% of the NFL is made up of African Americans.
Right.
But only 6 of them are what? In 2017, if my study is correct on what I posted, all NFL teams at that time had Black quarterbacks at that time for the first time in history. All 32. But now it's not. Last year draft, I think, well, this past year that we just came off of, there was no one drafted from an HBCU in the top rounds. And it never happens from historically Black colleges.
Wow.
I say that to say he could very much sit there and say, oh, I stand behind Black lives, I'm a Black man, this affects me, you know, X, Y, and Z. However, let's take a different standpoint. Let's switch our focus and let's talk about that point. Because outside of police brutality, outside of racism happening every day, Black male athletes deal with this problem at the forefront every single day. They can't, if they don't go to a Division I school or a top producing school, they're not going to go far. He went to Bowie State University, a Division II school, one of the top quarterbacks during his time, went to the regional combine, not the combine that we see, you know, in Indianapolis, the regional combine, and didn't make it. Because guess what? They don't need another quarterback. They don't need another quarterback because they're not looking for a Black one. That's why. If he had the position, he may have been able to get drafted. But the fact that, and it's, again, anybody can argue this. They can argue, but the fact is, statistics show it's not happening for Black quarterbacks. So let's talk about it from that standpoint. We're not going to sit there and take the, Black Lives Matter. We know this. We've been saying this. We're tired of saying this. So now let's talk about these issues directly and how they affect. So that's what I encourage my clients to do. Find the issue and how it affects you directly. Because you these weak ass statements, I'm sorry, y'all, these weak ass statements everybody keep posting and how Black Lives Matter. No, in public relations, you need to be relatable to your public.
Right.
And the only way you're going to be relatable to your public is speaking on the issue that you can actually direct. Saying, oh, Black Lives Matter, taking down the Confederate flag, all well and good, but where is the action?
Right. Right.
And you know that point, Milan, that you just talked about, you know, relative to the quarterback, that same thing applies to so many things, right? Like I was just talking to somebody the other day. about how, when it comes to corporate, so I've left corporate America, and I remember a couple of days before I left, I was talking to someone who was a fairly high-ranking officer in the company, and as we were talking, I said to him, I may be a unicorn in here, right? Smart Black woman, look around, not a whole lot of people, definitely no one above me, right, at all that looks like me. But I'll tell you this for sure, I am not a unicorn in the world. So when we talk about getting more diversity and how do we get more, talent that's like you, just like the quarterback, you can't keep going to the same schools, to the same places and expect something different, right? Go where they are if you truly want to be about action. And that's just so unfortunate because that cycle, again, is just repeating itself in so many different industries. Like, change.
And the sad part is, like, as an athlete who wants to go far, of course, everybody's dream is to get drafted and go to the next level, right? But the thought that I go to an HBCU, I probably really want to go, I can't because my chances of now going to the league is slim. It's sad. It's what we call it, y'all with the word I'm looking for. It's controlled. It's like another control variable. Right? You say, oh no, we're free, this is that. That's not free. There's no sense of freedom in that because you're literally making it where if you go to an HBCU, I can be proud in my own where my ancestors built, I can't go because it's hindering me from the next level unless it's a top producing HBCU.
Right. And that's
sad. That's just control, but it's also the system. It's part of the system of making you go through the paces how they want you to go. Taking the steps that they want you to take, doing the things that they want you to do, instead of doing the things that are right for you, that are the most complementary to you, that are the ones that are within your reach. Because a lot of these athletes, when they go to these PWI schools, and I did too, but when they go there, I tutored basketball players at my undergrad. And they were so overwhelmed by a lot of culture shock because a lot of them did not come from a place where there was a lot of white people. I grew up in East Texas, so I was used to it, but they were not. So then it starts to make you conform into a type of mentality that's going to make you do exactly what they say, how they want you to say it, how they want you to do. And that's the same in the influencer space. That's why earlier when Milan was saying, about the people doing the Fashion Nova and the tea, no one was doing that years ago because we knew it was crap. But people, all they're focused on is the money and not the craft of things. So yeah, they're like, okay, I'll do Fashion Nova, knowing they're ripping off the designs of Black designers. I'll do this tea, knowing it's really not doing anything but diuretic, and all it's going to make you do is go to the bathroom. Like, at this point, they know the system is set up to make Fashion Nova win, make the flat tummy tea win. So I'm going to win too, so I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and work with those brands.
Right. And I love Milan's whole definition from the beginning about impacting change. As Black influencers, I feel like we have to impact change, not just for ourselves, but for our audiences. So, Crystal, let me ask you that. Where do you feel like the most responsibility lies? To the brands that we may work with or to our audiences? Where do we draw the line?
I think it kind of both, because your brands that you work with are going to, you're supporting these products or you're supporting these services or whatever it is that they offer. But then our audience is looking up to us for what works best for us or what works best for their businesses. So it's kind of twofold. I think both in an aspect, because like I said, you just have to, we have all these followers that are looking to us for these answers and things. And then, I bought a DW Home candle the other day and posted it in my stories, and somebody inboxed me and was like, hey, where do you find those? I picked it up at Home Goods. Didn't know DW Homes had a site until I tagged them. And what happens? Crystal gets an email from DW Homes to, do you want to purchase, or we love that you shared our brand on your page. But what did you look at? The number of followers that I have, or who I'm actually what my brand is about, or who I'm catering to. That's what you looked at. So, my thing is, the first thing I did, I went back and I kind of looked back at their Instagram page, their Facebook pages and things, just to kind of see like where their stance is now with everything going on. Like, what really makes you reach out? Is it genuine, or are you just looking for somebody else of color?
Right. That's real. That's real.
That's just what I had to go through my process, so I hadn't responded yet. So yeah.
Right. Melissa, what you think? Like, I know we have a responsibility to the brand, so I want to make that clear. When we sign up for this deal, there's a responsibility to them. But I guess my thing is now, like, should we be researching where their stance are before we give that responsibility to them? Or do we default to our audience, the people who look up to us?
You have to take responsibility as the ambassador, as the influencer, as the enthusiast, whatever term society wants to use. We're going to use influencer because we know the proper definition. So as the it is our responsibility, because you make the decisions to work with them, right? Just because they come and they have this amazing offer, it's still up to you to do your due diligence to really figure out that brand. Because like I always tell my clients, you can look at as many brands as you want to, but if their morals and their values don't align with you, it doesn't work. You can't partner with something that doesn't stand behind you and that you don't stand behind. And then you're doing a disservice and an injustice to the people that look up to you, because, I mean, we have seen it. I'm not going to say any names, but people are in outrage with certain influencers right now because of statements that they made about, oh, well, I don't need no platform this. And people are like, well, if it wasn't for us on this platform, you wouldn't be where you are. Yeah. You have to do a due diligence to them and a service to them to provide them with the best thing, because they're following, because they trust your word. One thing that we practice in talking about branding is brand loyalty and trust, which equals your brand equity. If your brand equity is decreasing because the loyalty and trust is not there, you're not going to sell anything. You're not going to make profit. You're not going to grow. Your business is going to be hindered. So it's up to you. It's up to us as influencers to do our research and make the best decision on behalf of our followers and on behalf of ourselves. At the end of the day, F the brand, because more brands are going to come. Don't sell yourself short just because you think this brand may be good. This is a big name brand. At the end of the day, there's big name brands. Hell, we're making big name brands. So it's to make that decision.
Exactly. And I think we sideswipe our own brands sometimes because we look for these bigger brands. We want the bigger brands because supposedly, they'll give us that exposure, that we want. I think we miss out totally on our responsibility that should be to our Black communities and our fans and audiences that are looking up, to us. Because now I'm reading the fine print, and I'm like you, Chris. I'm going back to look at your page to see what you said. If you just not saying something that doesn't feel authentic and would my audience resonate,
right? That 5 minutes of fame, it may not be worth it. Right. And that's the way I look at it, because that's literally what it is, that 5 minutes of fame. And if you look at your stats, you will see, the numbers may go up and then they go down. How many from that post are actually following you? How many are staying with you? So yeah, I got
this. I think too, going back to Milan's enthusiast versus influencer, Lakeisha, when we talked about that sort of responsibility to the community or to help our community, I think when you are in that influencer territory, like truly impacting change, you will be doing things like, hey, here's this new up and coming brand, this new I just did it today. Here's this new Black female entrepreneur who actually also happens to be a soror. But here, these new things coming in, I don't need to get paid for that. I'm trying to impact change. Right. The more that we win and the more like us that win, the better. We should be in that support. So as much as we can reach out to the big brands to get paid or whatever, it doesn't have to be a big brand to get a paid deal. What are we also doing to support those that are up and coming that cannot afford you, but you have the audience and the impact? How are you helping if that's what you're in this game for?
Right.
Well, not everybody, most people are addicted to visibility, but they don't understand the responsibility that comes with being invisible. They don't understand the responsibility of when you put something out there or you act a plan or you say something, that is your word. And as a Black community, a lot of all we only have is our word. So if you're sticking your neck out for this brand, and then all over social media, but you didn't do your due diligence because you saw other people promoting them, and you're like, well, they blew up and they, seem to be making all this money. But in reality, a whole bunch of your faves are not able to pay their bill.
Right.
They're not able to pay a lot of things just because they're visible doesn't always equate to money in the bank.
Right. Right. That makes sense. Renetta, you introduced me to a powerful coach, April. Is that her name? So she did a live one day and I happened to catch it. And she was going in. Like she was hot as fish grease at us because she said people kept asking her about Marie Forleo and Russell Brunson and the Mom Boss people, and it was a couple of other people. And I was upset too. I really was upset. But she put it into perspective, and I want to bounce this off all y'all. I love what she said when she said they didn't create products for us in the first place. So why do we even care about how they feel? I had never seen her like that. I've seen her always passionate about. But she went in. She was like, I don't give a F what they do. Why do you care about what they do? So do you think we're looking for something that we shouldn't be looking for from the white influencers?
It's the system. The system is set up where we are supposed to crave whatever they've created.
That's it.
Even though it's usually a watered down version of what we created.
Mm-hmm.
But it kind of goes back to what Candace was saying. If you see a small Black brand popping up and it's a product you would actually use, why wouldn't you try to work something out with it? It doesn't always have to be me. I mean, I've gotten free hair products and all kind of stuff because I liked it. It worked for my hair and I liked what they were doing.
Right.
But the system is set up where we're wanting to crave a certain type of YouTube lifestyle. I know in Instagram they say it's the Instagram lifestyle, but have you seen how those YouTubers do their home tours and all these other videos they have? It's a whole life that I'm like, but are you really affording it? Because a lot of you are only looking at ads. What happens when your channel gets demonetized and you didn't create merchandise or you don't have products or services? And on the flip side, a lot of influencers do not understand that they are running a business. So they don't even understand profit and loss statements. They don't have a CPA. They don't have an attorney. They may not even have a DBA. It's a lot of things that they don't have that if you were really serious about this, you would at least Google it instead of just putting yourself out there. Like, why let somebody else be over your manifesting book? If you manifest it, you should have manifested a ghostwriter. Like, those are things you should have been able to do.
Woo! We just got on another level. Welcome, level 10.
All right.
I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, Crystal, what about you? Like, do you feel like we should have been mad because Marie Forleo didn't say nothing about Black Lives Matter?
No, I just, and I think my opinion on this may not be the fave of everyone, but my thing was, when I talked amongst some of my friends was, why are y'all getting mad? Why are you surprised? Was my question.
Yeah.
Why is it a shock to you that they're not saying anything when you have the same people of color, us, who can do the same thing? We just didn't basically, and really all boils down to, we probably didn't have the finances and funds to be able to put ourselves up there on that platform like they have, or like we didn't have the resources that we needed to actually go and pay somebody else to teach us how to put this platform out there, because that's really all it is. I think we know, and we have everything that we need to do to get to those levels, but we have to be serious about our businesses. We have to be consistent with our businesses. We can't get tired and just, push it to the side. You just it's a process, and I think we may get lazy at times to where we feel as if it's not working for me, it's not moving as fast as it did for her or for this person, and then we shut down to a sense. But I don't think we should have been upset. I mean, if anything, it should have put a match under us to just go ahead and get done what we need to get done in order to get to those levels and do what we need to do to get where she is. Because, my question was, okay, where are these people going? If they're leaving these groups because of this, where are they going? And it was pathetic to see the number of people in the group that were actually kind of begging her to come forth and say something. I'm just like, why are y'all steady? Asking what? I didn't understand that. Stop begging and go and create something or do something for yourself. If not, if you don't feel that you can create it or do it for yourself, go and support a Black woman, someone that looks like you who's actually doing the same thing. Just because she didn't have 8,000 followers doesn't mean that she doesn't have the content or that she has the skills needed to help you get to where you need to in your business. Right. So, I mean, I don't think so. I think we should have that should have prompted us to go ahead and get whatever we needed to get done. Now, true enough, I see where money may have been spent, but from there you would say, okay, I'm going to stop spending my money with this person and I'm going to go and spend my money over here. Don't beg anybody to spend your money. I'm not begging anybody to spend my money anywhere, that can't respect me or even have the common sense that, okay, I have over 50% of my followers are African American or Black women. And then I'm going to sit out here and I'm just going to say, oh no, I'm not going to say anything or we're not going to talk about that. That was a slap in the face. No discussion was needed for me at that point.
Right. What about you, Milan?
Oh, can I piggyback on something real quick before Milan jumps in? It just makes you think about, like, there is somebody for everybody, right? Everybody you follow, who resonates with them, who this, who that. So I'm just thinking about it, like in this group you were in, Crystal, and it's probably unfortunate, right, for some of those who were like, hey, I connect better with Marie. Right. For whatever reason, right? Maybe it's her experiences, where she grew up. She's a Jersey girl, right? Whatever. Versus I need to go ahead and connect with this Black woman over here. But we don't all have the same experiences. But, there's so many opportunities. And I think the thing that's important is, like, when you see something that's important to you, so that Black woman in that group, whoever she is or they are, if you see something that's important to you and this person that you follow and you stay close to doesn't share your ideals, well, I hope, at least for God's sake, you would go and start to support and follow those that do resonate with you, right? And not just be boo-boo the fool with someone that doesn't share your value. You know what I mean? Expect you to share your values.
That part. Milan, what's your take?
I agree. I have nothing left to say because everyone hit it on the nose. Like, at the end of the day, I think we look for too much validation, and we're looking for something that's not going to be there. You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay, but we're just looking for too much validation. I'm gonna say that. Like Crystal said, I'm probably not gonna be the favorite opinion, but that's what it is, and you can't look for that. I mean, we can be mad. We can use anybody as an example that we're looking to say something that we buy from or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, we put out a product. They put out a product. We bought into it. We're looking for too much validation, and that's not, and I think that's what it is. And people can say, "Oh, we're not looking for validation. We're just looking for somebody to say, oh, X, Y, and Z." Yeah, but why? It's like, but why are you looking for that? Because us as a community, African Americans, whoever we're buying from that brand, that person didn't sit there and say, "You need to buy from me because you are Black." They didn't say that. That was a choice that we made. But we're looking for them to say something, receive validations, to continue to buy in. Like Candace said, it's one thing it's for everybody. If this one person is not speaking on this anymore and you don't feel that they got your back, move on to the next.
Right.
And my thing is, like, to piggyback off of that, these people don't sit down and say, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do for the Black people today."
Okay.
No, that's like, And I kind of felt like when I kept seeing all the people in there, like asking again, I can't believe she's not gonna say, believe it, sis. She ain't.
My thing is when somebody shows you their hand, whether it's in business, a relationship, in a situation like this, believe them, take it. Like in the comments, look for validation from people that aren't valid. Only validation I'm looking for is a validation sticker when I'm trying to get free parking. I'm not looking at validation.
That's my girl. Right. And I think April said it very, very clearly. She said, why do you even care? First of all, you shouldn't even been buying her product in the first place because it wasn't created for you. Like Crystal just said, when Maria or whomever sat down and created that product, it probably wasn't even for you in the first place. But we bought into it because of that whole thing about it. And so now we mad. But think about it. Their responsibility ended when we bought the product and they delivered the product or the service. That's when their responsibility probably ended. They don't owe us anything, beyond that. So we looking for them to keep, oh, come on, say something, and they didn't. They didn't. Yeah.
It's
lack of education.
Success by association.
Yeah.
So you are associated with Marie Forleo. If you enrolled in her B school, which I've seen the content in B school. I don't know why people would pay to be in B school, but they think if they complete it and then they become her ambassador to sell it to other people, then that gives them some type of credibility. But who is she to make you credible when you should know whatever it is you're putting out there?
Right. That's true. So let's pivot for a second, ladies, to now there's this whole thing of education of our white friends, our white influencers, white people in general. So I don't think I find anything wrong with it in a sense. So let me say this. There's a brand that I work with called Sway. Tiffany is amazing. When all this first happened, she's spoken out about things before this even happened. So let me just say that they've always been vocal. But when this happened, it kept happening. She stepped up and said, I have failed in so many areas. She was just like, I need to do something about this. And she's been serious about trying to find information. She sought information from us. I know y'all probably saw my post like last week where I was just shouting her out. I think they give opportunities across the board to all influencers. They're one of the few, I will say. So what do you say to brands now who are saying, oh, well, if you're a Black influencer, we want to put you on the spotlight. Okay, give me your podcast information and then we're going to share it. Or if you got a blog post, we're going to put it out there. What do you say to those brands like now? Are we responsible to educate them on Black Lives Matter?
They better go take a look.
I have one thing to say about that, and I think this is it's been over 400 years of what? Not educated about what now?
If they're not educated,
you don't have a textbook, you didn't go to school, you don't have ignorant ass ancestors on your end, you don't have a television to look at, you don't go outside. That's what you're basically telling me if you want me to educate you. It's not my job. It is not our job because it's been at the forefront. Now you want to be educated. So you mean to tell me you ain't never heard about segregation? You mean to tell me that you didn't know that we couldn't go to the same bathroom, we couldn't sit in the same place, we couldn't drink out the same water fountain? You mean to tell me that you did not know that?
Yeah.
But you want me to educate you?
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if they're watching The Help, which is supposed to be like the biggest view on, did they not see the scene where she couldn't use the same toilet as the house she was cleaning? Like she had to go outside. Like, if you're watching that, you could at least take away that part.
But you want us to educate you. How? What is not in your face? Everything is in black and white at this point. You have a president who is blatantly against the Black people, blatantly against the LGBTQ community. And you want to sit there and want me to educate you because I'm living in the skin. It's in your face. I'm just down there.
growing up in a white community, I can tell you firsthand that they really do live in a bubble. They,
How many of them
they
come out?
I'm telling you, they live in a bubble, and when you burst that bubble, because I had a conversation with my mom and one of her line sisters, and I was explaining to one of my classmates from high school the difference between bias, prejudice, racist, and injustice. And then he blocked me. And they said it was only because you exposed that he was a racist and he couldn't take it because supposedly he was your friend all these years. I said, well, why did I waste my time explaining when he could have just went to the dictionary? I'm never doing that again. So the thing is, they really don't get that
Right.
That's the thing. It's the difference between not getting it and just not being educated. Like, you're asking for us to educate you. You're not going to get it because you're not Black. You haven't experienced it. But it's not that you don't know. It's just that you haven't taken enough time to actually invest in figuring out what you can do, how you can do it. Because it ain't no damn bubble. They just don't want to know.
Here is the one thing though. If it is from a standpoint of not, oh, how can you help me realize like where we just don't know what's going on in the world, but we want to be different and we want to support. Can you help us make a plan to do that? All day.
Right.
Let's talk about how we can make that happen.
That's what I'm saying. Let's now the statements have been made. What's next? That's my question.
Right.
What are we doing
I think
now?
Manetta said that this week sometime. I think Manetta, you mentioned something about that, like y'all putting out these statements, but where the Black folks at in your companies? Like where you got that statement from? Unless you got a powerhouse like Milan on board, who wrote that statement for you? You know, like,
and it's not that they wrote the statement; they copied from somebody else. All the statements are the same. It was copy and paste. They saw one person on Twitter put it, everybody copied and pasted. Then here come Ben and Jerry. I'm telling you, Ben and Jerry's with that long statement, very detailed, very specific, and then they didn't just stop there. They have a whole page on the website. They created a whole new flavor. He can't resist. You know, like they really went and did something, you know, in their way. But it's not on us to do next steps for them. It is really on them to create next steps. If they want input, they write a check, and we can help with that. Mm-hmm. But we don't create next steps for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been receiving, like you said, emails where, you know, they have all these resources, you know, telling us now where we can donate and, you know, where we can do this and that. And I'm looking at the email like, where you been? Because we've been living this thing forever. We know about a lot of these resources. Have you donated? And then I've even noticed some brands are like, well, this is where we're donating. Like, they want validation from us now because they're showing us that they're doing something. But you donate one time, what are you doing within your company or within the atmosphere that you can control to help more Black Americans, more Black influencers?
Problem with the donating, because that Minnesota Bell group or whatever, they got so inundated with like $35 million. It's going to take them months to distribute that money because they did not plan for that. Instead of them donating money to all these different organizations, why don't you pay the people in the actual industry to do the work that you're actually seeking to be done? If you're donating and then you come to an influencer and say, well, we don't have the budget, go get your donation back. Then you would have the budget. Like, don't donate and then come to us and not have money to pay us.
Right. Right. I think that makes so much sense. Like you talking about, oh, now you don't have money. Because now I see where it's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, if you have this resource to, you know, to sell, I'll put you on my blog list. I'll put you on this list I have. And I'm like, well, where the money? Because, I mean, you just want to put me on a platform, but an unpaid platform? Like, what are you doing for me now?
Mm-hmm. The thing about the donations, right? The donations are easy to do and easy to talk about. Fast. right? Like, yep, we just donated whatever to so and so, blah, 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 while we're committed to the mission. But you go ahead and you start either hiring, or you start doing some turnover, or you start adding new positions. Not fast.
Yeah.
You better have a darn good press release and reason to talk about it. And I'm sure Milan could probably talk about that for days. But it takes a different level of effort. It takes some time where your efforts aren't seen as you're trying to make that. It's not as quick and dirty and yep, we did our part and check and go. And I'm sure there are probably some that are doing both. I hope, but I hope there are far fewer just checking I made the donation and moving forward. And I can't judge it because I don't know who's doing what, but I hope to God that we are shifting into that. How are we really going to affect change? Maybe we are going to hire some consultants to make those plans, whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there's no accountability with the donation.
Exactly.
And you can just say you made a donation, but who's really going to go behind and check you to see if you made a donation? Yeah. I mean, you're right, Candace. It's just way too easy to say I've made a donation. And then the Black Lives Movement that everybody's been donating to is not actually affiliated with Black Lives Movement. It's somebody else's group that's affiliated with law enforcement. So it was a scam organization.
Wow.
My goodness.
Yeah. But see, that's the stuff they don't know, because they just want to do something to say that they've done something. And now you done gave your money to an organization that ain't even benefiting the cause.
They don't care. They just want the screenshot. They just want the screenshot of the receipt. They don't care.
Right. And do you think, they're doing it for the receipts to say, I'm saying something now? I mean, I wonder, do some of you feel like they're really sincere now in this whole space of what they doing? I know Ben and Jack, you right, Vanetta, Ben and Jack, honey, they've been out there, like, really doing stuff.
I don't think most brands are sincere. I know that when we do our boycotts and they start losing money, that's a problem. So in their mind, if they put out the statement, if they say they make the donation, if they do all these things they think we want them to do, then they feel like their sales shouldn't suffer. But my thing is like, but what are you doing for your employees? Like, there's one store, I'm not going to put it out, but I can't stand shopping at that store because I know how they treat their employees. So I know they don't pay their employees. I know they purposely don't give a 40-hour work week to their employees because they don't want to pay benefits. So I go to the store with the red dot.
It is exposure season, ain't it? Like, yep. So
it is something when you put your money where your mouth is, and I don't mean just by a donation. I mean your regular cash flow that's coming into your business when you have set aside some of that capital and you've intentionally said, okay, I'm going to take a portion of this and do something different. Not just donate it for a tax write-off, but I'm going to do something different inside of my company, right? That's going to build and flourish. Like it's different. I think about Starbucks. Was that a few years ago? I don't know how long it was. When Starbucks, when the guy was, you know what I'm talking about? There was the black guy, and then something happened with the cops. And Starbucks had did that like one day.
That's training.
One day training, they shut down.
Yeah. So I respected the heck out of that. I know it was a range of opinions, but I respected that. They took a hit, right, for shutting down for that large period of time. But you said, okay, this is something that's important, so we're going to stop the revenues that would have came in for these few hours. And I don't even know how much it added up to, but that type of thing shows your commitment. Like you put some skin in the game, like you made some sacrifice because you believe in something. Right. People can tell the difference between I got a little extra, I'll throw it over here and I'm going to take a hit. You know what I mean?
Right. They can tell what's the difference. So last question, ladies, do you think or do you not think it's a good time to be a Black influencer? And we're going to use the term influencer like my sis say, because that's what we are. Do you think it's a good idea or not, and why? Crystal.
Why would you start with me? Gather my thoughts. I do. Contrary to what I don't know about everyone else, but I guess you know what day? Maybe one day last week when everybody was tagging Black influencers, Black entrepreneurs, Black businesses, and things like that. There's been an increase, of course, of interest just specifically for Black people in business. Mm-hmm. So I think that not only is it a good reason because it allows other Black people to see that there are businesses and other influencers and things out there that can do the same thing or do have products, the same products, if not better than some of these other businesses, that we can actually have an impact on our community and be able to show them where we do make it or have or can have that same influence if we just support each other and support those influences and things. So I think it's a good time for us to, you know, if anything, this time should be, I guess, ignite some fire and some influencers and things to go ahead and kind of up the notch on some of the things that they're doing, and be serious about their businesses. So, yeah, I think so.
Right. Candace, what do you think?
I think any time is a good time to be a Black female influencer. And I say that so seriously. And I would say that not only as a Black female, I think honestly it's true for anyone who is an influencer of any color and shade that's making some impact in the world. Because we all have, even us as Black women right here, we all have different experiences. We all have all these wonderful, rich things to bring to the world. Yes, it is very helpful where there is attention, right? Because that's always helpful. Hey, I want to get your opinion. I want to get this. Mm-hmm. I've had so many like off the cuff, I didn't know conversations that have happened. Right. But I think really any time is a good time to be a Black female influencer. And even more than ever, if we weren't super bold about our position, I love being a Black woman. I'll talk about it all the time, right? Now is the time, and it should always be the time because of their richness of our experience.
Right. Renetta?
It's always a great time to be a Black influencer. I mean, the sheer fact that I put Black in my title, but I think it's a thing. But you have to know why you're an influencer, why you're a blogger, why you're a podcaster, why you're a YouTuber. Because if you're just in it for fame or popularity or money, you'll burn out real quick. If you have a reason to be in this space, a reason on the type of impact you want to make, it's always a great time, and you'll always find people willing to work with you. You may have to dig a little deeper depending on what your niche is, but you'll definitely be able to carve your own space.
Right. Miss Milan?
Yes, I agree. It's always a great time to be a Black influencer. And like we said, I mean, you have the ability to make impact, make change, add value every single day. So it shouldn't be at the moment or peak when, you know, God forbid, we have another George Floyd situation, other Rashad, you know, I don't even want to say, I hate it because we shouldn't even be here. But it shouldn't be where we're saying somebody's name when we come and we really put our influence. No, we need to use our influence, constantly encouraging people to vote, constantly notifying people of things that they may not be aware of. It's our job to raise that awareness as influencers. So it's always a great time. I don't want us to just get so stuck on focusing on social issues when they arise. Social issues are always there. It's just the media picks issues. And when we fall into now highlighting it, all we're doing is making what the media says to be true. We gravitate to what media says, right? Versus if it's a big deal, if something happened as small as somebody in the store getting spit on, pushed around or something by a white person, make it a big deal. Like we have the ability do that as influencers. So we have to use it all the time. So it's always a great time. But my skin, my influence, every day.
Yeah, I love it. I'm loving it too. I'm loving that we can create our own platforms now to be able to, like, we don't have to stand on theirs. It's good, it's nice. But we can create our own platforms, like Candace said, not only just for ourselves, but for someone else. And I think that's something for those who are tuning in to like think about. If you're in the realm, and I mean, you don't have to work with brands to be an influence. It's just just happens to be our jam. That's just what we do. But if you can help this new small business that starting up, buy their products, share their products, give testimonials, I think it really would help us in our communities just really get the visibility that we need, because I think now a change is definitely coming. I don't think people are I think we're real serious now. And I think it's not going to go anywhere. So I thank you ladies for coming tonight. Y'all are my fave. Y'all know I love y'all.
Thank
So
you.
before y'all go, tell people how they can connect with you. Vernetta.
They can find me at Vernetta Art Training, or Vernetta Rochelle all over social media, and then my link is always in the bio.
Okay. Miss Crystal.
I am at the Mompreneur on Instagram, so you can find me there, and I'm Crystal Logan on Facebook.
Milan.
You can find me on social media at the Milan Mobley. So you see my name right there at the bottom. Milan Mobley, just put TAPE in front of it. The regular way that you spell the correct way, not the V. And then the link in my bio gives you access to business coaching, public relations, my podcast, my YouTube channel, freebies, all those amazing things. So,
Candace.
So you can find me on Instagram at Candace Spears, so first name, last name, and on Facebook at Cand, CAND Spears. And all my podcast info, everything is right in the bio, both places.
Again, I thank y'all so much. This conversation is continual. I definitely know somebody gonna reach out. We on a movement, y'all. Like, this ain't stopping. This is not stopping. Like, period. So I thank you for tonight. Next week, I'm coming back with endangered species, our Black men. That's a conversation you definitely want to be here for on Monday. It's probably gonna be juicy and good. So I'm inviting 4 men to the stage to help us talk about why they feel like they're in an endangered species and what we can do as Black Americans to help them stay here. So thanks again, y'all. Have a good night.
All right.
bye.
Good night.